Yes, good morning everyone. Let's start with our industrial relations syllabus. We are on the verge of our last module, which is our second module. And the first topic in which we are going to discuss, or the first act which we are going to discuss in this, is the Payment of Wages Act 1936. Right. Before starting in the detail of this act, I would like to discuss the history part. As I was earlier said, or as I was discussing the Employees Compensation Act, I had already mentioned that this act is basically for the Britishers, because to curtail the work timing of the employees, of the Indian employees, because we all know that Indian employees are working for 16 hours and the British employees are working for the 8 hours. So our goods are more cheaper, and our goods are quality of goods are more than the British quality. So in order to curtail this issue, the first act which they had adopted is the Employees Compensation Act, in which they had restricted the working hour. And now this Payment of Wages Act 1936, right? So as the name suggested, 1936. So it is the Pre-Independence Act. So this act has been came to regulate the salary purpose, or the compensation, or the remuneration which employees is getting from the employer. So the first and the foremost object of this act is the regulation of the salary part. This act regulate the salary of the employees. Whatever salary employer is giving to employees, the salary cannot be of the less than minimum standard. So this act, the first and the foremost work of this act is to regulate the salary or the remuneration. Excuse me. Yes, the second main objective is the malpractices. The uh, employer is doing malpractices, or employer does generally do malpractices to give the less salary to the employees. So in order to curtail this issue, this act has been came into force. And the first and the last, the main objective is that there must be fixed salary intervals, right? You cannot give salary in 2 month or 3 month, or whenever employer fixes. So there must be a fixation of the salary, the interval of the salary, the timing of the salary. So let me repeat this for you all. The first and the foremost object is to regulate the wages. The employer cannot give the salary not in the minimum sense, means it cannot be like whatever the employer wants, right? Salary must be fixed, and salary be must not be at the minimum, below the minimum wages. Yes. The second thing is that the malpractices, the malpractices which employer are doing the deduction, like employer generally deduct the salary from anything, right? For any reason. So to curtail this issue, this minimum wages has been kept. And of course the third is the fixation of the interval of time. There must be fixation of salary interval of the time. Before coming of this act, there is no minimum interval or the fixed interval of the salary. This act has been fixed that not below 30 days, right? Sorry, not maximum of 30 days, not beyond of 30 days, uh, salary can be given. Either salary can be given in 7 days or 10 days or 15 days, 21 days, whatever they want, but not more than 30 days. There must be a limitation that 30 days is the maximum time limitation for giving the salary. One more you can say that, one more uh, object you can say that this Payment of Wages Act is that the fixation of the modes of payment, right? The mode of payment must be whatever both accepted, right? Like whatever accepted by employer and whatever accepted by employees at the time of starting the work, the salary must be paid according to this sense, right? अब ऐसा तो हो नहीं सकता कि सैलरी आपने कुछ और डिफाइन किया, आपने सैलरी बोला कि मुझे कैश में चाहिए पर एम्प्लॉय इज गिविंग यू इन अ बिटकॉइन, तो दिस कैन नॉट बी डन. सैलरी मस्ट बी इन अ फिक्सेशन मोड, राइट? ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि सैलरी आपका एज अ फिक्स हो, जैसे जनरली इन केस वी हैड सीन दैट कैजुअल वर्कर जनरली वर्क ऑन द प्राइस ऑफ रेसिडेंस एंड फूड, राइट? तो उनका रेम्युनरेशन यही होता है. जैसे हम वी हैड सीन द वर्कर वर्किंग इन अ होटल, so the basic remuneration which the hotel worker is getting that residence and food, right? So if remuneration is fixed in the form of resident and food, it cannot be altered in a later part of the uh, time, right? And if it is altered, then it must be altered according to the connection or according to the communication between employer and employees, right? So these are the few objectives which the payment of wages has been came for. Yes. Next, the next definition, or the I want to start a definition with the definition of employees. Here, the same definition which we had followed in the Employees Compensation Act, right? The person who is working in a factory is known as employees. The one important thing in this aspect is that the employees include the definition of legal representative, right? This means that employee include the legal representative. That means if any person is working as an employee and if he died, right, or if any compensation is given to that person, then it is already included, then legal heirs is already included in the definition of employees. So that compensation, that salary will be given to their legal heirs, right? Yes, and the definition of employer is also include the definition of legal representative, right? So the employer, if he died, then all his liability will be gone to his legal heirs, right? So it is in that situation his legal representative who is overtaking the charges has the liability to pay the compensation or pay the salary of the employees. Clear? Employee and employer. Yes. Next, the next thing which we have to understand here is that uh, yes, the definition is industry. Industry. Here, the industry basically, as I discuss in the Industrial Dispute Act, what does industry means, right? So here, industry covers, or for the Payment of Wages Act, industry include the motor services, air services, dock services, mines, mines which was not included in the Factory Act, as I said. So please be remembered this. Plantation include the, like, the other thing which it was already included in the industry. Next, workshop for manufacturing units. Workshop, as you know, all know that if there is manufacturing unit like motor vehicle, if there is manufacturing unit, then their workshop will be there. Next, construction work. Next, any industry which appropriate one wants to establish. Yes. So let me discuss again. Industry for the purpose of Payment of Wages Act include the motor vehicle, air services, dock services, mines, plantation, workshop for manufacturing unit, construction work, and any other establishment which appropriate government thinks that it required to be industry or it required to be came under the Payment of Wages Act, right? So all these things, or all these things cover under the industry part for the purpose of Payment of Wages Act. Next, yes. So as of now, we had discussed the objective part, who are employees, who are employer, and what industry it has been covered. Next, The next thing which are going to discuss is the wages. Like the Payment of Wages Act is the name of this act. So without wages you cannot go through, right? So first you have, if you want to understand this act, then you have to understand the wages, the concept of wages. What do you mean by wages, and what all wages, what all things wages include? First, of course, the remuneration part. What is your monthly remuneration on which you had settled? So wages include your all remuneration including salary. Salary part, salary तो आपका मिलना ही चाहिए, because salary के लिए तो you are working, and for salary purpose only this act has been established, as I earlier discussed. So first, wages which include is the salary. Next is the award or settlement. If any award or settlement you have with your company or your organization, then this also include under the wages part. Next, overtime payment, right? Overtime payment, if you have done any overtime payment, then this will also cover under this. Bonus or any other part, if you entitled to get any bonus or any other thing. Next, any wages by way of termination of work, like if employer has terminated from the job, then he has entitled to give salary, right? And this part has been according to the contract or according to the bylaws of the employer, that for how much salary it will be given. Generally, if we had discussed or we have seen in the industrial dispute act, it is for 3 months. Every employer has duty to give 3 month salary in advance if he has entrenching any service of the employees, but it varies, right? It varies from state laws. Yes, so any wages by termination of service or any contribution by employer, right? Any contribution, as I discussed, I was discussing the PF Act, the insurance scheme. So these are the contribution from the employer. So any contribution by the employer is also included under the wages for the Payment of Wages Act. Yes, let me revise the wages first. Yes, all remuneration first. Wages include all remuneration. All remuneration means the salary part, right? And any other award or settlement, right? Next, overtime payment. Next, bonus or any other payment. Bonus or any other payment, that means if any other allotment or allocations, if employer has been given to you, like household rents or mobile or traveling allowance, this will also come under wages. Yes, and any wages by termination of service, as I discussed, and any contribution by the employer, any contribution like PF scheme, insurance scheme. So these things are covered under the wages for the purpose of Payment of Wages Act. Two things which we have to kept in mind, that no wages period exceed 1 month, as I discussed, that in this act this has been come up, that no wages has been exceeding 1 month. कोई भी एम्प्लॉयर किसी भी एम्प्लॉय को 1 महीने से ज्यादा नहीं रुका सकता है तनख्वाह के लिए. नो एम्प्लॉयर हैज बीन extend the date of 1 month for giving the salary. Next, yes, the next thing which we have to kept in our mind is that the salary or the remuneration for the Payment of Wages Act has been given in a current coin or current notes only, right? So the current coin or the current note which are used by the government of India has been only used for the purpose of giving salary. Yes, so these two things must have been kept in mind.